Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, and entertainment. And we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, as y'all know, my favorite player in the NBA, and I'm holding on by a thread, man, is Kawhi Leonard. I had a lot of expectations for Kawhi coming into this season, especially this postseason. Played the first game of the playoffs, looked absolutely sensational. Game 2, he looked incredible. Then all of a sudden, we got hit with a bombshell that Kawhi Leonard was going to miss Game 3. And ever since that news came out, we never saw him again in the playoffs. And the moment that news dropped, a lot of people started reacting to it, including ourselves. But one of the biggest Kawhi Leonard critics in media, Stephen A. Smith, he was the one that took the strongest position on Kawhi Leonard. Initially, when he was asked about what he thought about Kawhi Leonard being injured, he went on ESPN and essentially stated that Kawhi Leonard is one of the top 3 worst superstars in sports history, not NBA history, in sports history. He then went on there to basically say the guy does nothing to market the game. Frankly, he was basically saying Kawhi Leonard is boring. He doesn't really do anything for the Clippers, and he went at him. And then I think maybe 1 or 2 days later, JJ Redick came on the show. I'm talking about ESPN First Take, and Mad Dog Russo was there. That was on a Wednesday then, and JJ Redick basically took Stephen A. Smith to task, and he basically said, "You don't know what the hell you're talking about." Essentially, that he said it in a very, very nice way, but he told him, like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about when it comes to this guy. Now, when he said that, not a lot of people out there pushed back on him. We did a video where we highlighted Richard Jefferson, who was a colleague of Stephen A. Smith that was employed by ESPN. And he basically said anyone saying that, oh, yeah, because Stephen A. Smith has said that he believes that Kawhi Leonard should be forced to retire. That's what he said. He said Kawhi Leonard should be forced to retire. The Clippers should force him to retire. And I think that's what really threw JJ Redick over the edge. So Richard Jefferson of ESPN, he also said that it's totally out of place for anyone to say when and how a player should retire. That's up to the player, and the player should go out on his own terms. And that's the reason why Kobe Bryant came back from the Achilles tear. The reason Kobe Bryant came back, he said that he didn't want this injury to determine how he goes out. He said he wanted to go out on his terms. And he didn't want to let an injury determine how he retired from the NBA. So while I was just relaxing over the weekend, I came across some interviews on Vlad TV where he brought in the regular guest that he brings in, I think, 2 or 3 times a year, John Salley, right? He brought in John Salley. And usually when John Salley comes on Vlad, they talk about a range of things, NBA predictions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in this particular interview, Vlad asked John Salley directly about what he thought about the comments that Stephen A. Smith had to make about Kawhi Leonard in terms of calling him one of the worst superstars ever and basically saying he should retire. But before we get into his comments, this video is brought to you by sponsor Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is play exactly what John Salley had to say in response to Stephen A. Smith's comments, and then we'll come back and react to it. Take a listen to that.
I just found out today that Kawhi had a torn meniscus, and he played through the first time and got up, but he couldn't play the last 3 games because he tore his meniscus. And his sister is going to prison, and Paul George is not playing. I mean, there's so much stress on this guy, and to see people going after him because they think he's wounded and he's not, and he won't answer, I think that's wrong. But I thought I put a lot on the Clippers. I'm just, injury happens.
Well, yeah. I mean, Stephen A. Smith said that Kawhi Leonard is the worst superstar to have on your team.
So Stephen A. Smith could say that because he know Kawhi Leonard would not answer back. But Kawhi Leonard is probably one of the best people to have on your team because he doesn't act like a superstar. He acts like a guy who wants to win. He doesn't come in there saying, these are all the things you have to give me. He literally works to get his done, and he plays within the team system. So he's the best superstar to have on your team.
Yeah, but I mean, what does he get paid? Like $40 million?
Yeah, but
and you got to constantly do load management with him the whole time. And you see what I'm saying? He's not really playing consistently all the way through. And it's a lot of money, to get that type of performance. $40 million.
You're not paying him the $40 million to get you the performance. You're paying him $40 million for what he's done. So what you're getting paid.
What he's going to do is more important, though.
Well, he's being paid for what he's done. So he said, why do you feel you deserve, or why do we have to pay this guy this? And when you do the numbers, you say, this is it. But then, look, he tore ACL. The fact that he even came back is an amazing feat, right? To come back and then play up to the level he was playing is an amazing feat. Everybody is load managing because they believe in the analytics, and they don't care about the audience. They only care about wins and losses.
So you heard what John Salley had to say. Now, here are my thoughts on this, and I'll make it very brief. What I've noticed is that in sports media, there seems to be like this unwritten rule where you can call out any player you want, but you cannot call out your contemporaries for whatever reason. You can't say anything about their views. You can't disagree with them publicly. So even if they say something, you don't agree with it, you're supposed to remain quiet. I don't know when this contract was determined. I don't know when they wrote this down, where this was written down as a rule. In my understanding of sports media, I thought you were supposed to be beholden to your audience. I thought those were the people you were supposed to be beholden to, not to any personal relationships. Do you know why? Because I think for a very simple reason. Your colleagues are not the one paying your bills. It's your audience. Your audience are the ones that make you who you are. So I think you owe it to them to be honest. Why am I bringing this up? The reason I'm bringing that up was because I thought it was a bit refreshing to see John Salley push back on Stephen A. Smith's position, given the fact that both of these men are friendly with one another. That is refreshing. Nothing will happen if you disagree with a colleague publicly. What's going to happen? They ask you a question, you answer it. If you guys ever meet up, you say, bro, but why did you say that? I said this because of this. We'll talk about it. Now, if you're saying that we can only be friends if I agree with you publicly, then I don't want to be your friend. You're looking for somebody to blow hot air up your, you know what? It was not personal. I'm responding to something you said about said player. I'm not talking about you as a human being. I'm not talking about your personality as a person. I'm talking about what you said as it pertains to Kawhi Leonard or any other subject matter. Let's just be candid, because I think the audience appreciates that the most. The most. Now, I know it's an unwritten rule. I don't know why I don't know why this is. And this is something that only usually exists in sports, because in politics, people will say, I disagree with Don Lemon. I disagree with Tucker Carlson. I disagree with this guy. Everybody's saying what they think, right? And people kind of understand what they're getting from you. But whenever you pull your punches, I think you do your audience a disservice by not telling them exactly what you think, because you're pulling your punches. And if that's the case, why do you have a mic? Why are we up here? While we up here, we might as well all just sit at Starbucks, all of us be kumbaya, and let's maintain our friendship. I think the goal is to say what you really think without disrespecting, without slandering, without bringing anyone down, but say what you think honestly. And I thought that what he said, I thought it was his honest opinion. And I think he did a good job because I think at the end, the audience benefited the most from his perspective. Just my take. Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comments. We'll catch you on the next show. Peace.